There's no worse feeling in life than having no purpose. It is the lack of motion and movement in life. For if you understand how a man works, it is all based on his mission. We look at heroes, Achilles, to whatever one you want to look at, and they are refined by their reason to live. That is what makes them prestigious. Now, when you've lived enough life, you understand that those days when you have no reason are the worst. You spend your days consuming, lackluster. There's no even reason for your rest, but you spend the day rotting away. Those are the worst. And just to introduce myself, I'm Maxwell, and I like to teach on the topic of purpose. And that's what I want to talk about today, is making sure you are a superior man. For there's two things in life, higher and lower, chaos and divine. And to embody the divine is to have a greater reason of life. I think it is the most superior philosophy, is to have a reason to live, for that is what builds us as men, is having a reason to live. For women are more loving and compassionate, and men are based in their purpose. Your dad goes off to work so he can support his family, so he can have spare money for his kids. That is a reason to live. And without purpose, most men die, either physically or mentally. And I even recall in my own life, maybe you can relate, is through the trauma that I had to go through, I realized I needed to mature at such a quick time and at such a young age. It takes people years, they can be 18 to 25 and realize that life, or they won't even realize life is worth the severity, the emphasis of running this race. I was 15 years old when I realized, I can't just stop. I can't play with video games anymore. I can't play with toys. I can't waste around my days. I have to have a reason to live, for consuming was no end. It was lackluster. So I cut out the distractions, I cut out the dopamine, and I realized, how can I have a reason to live? The only thing that held me on was self-improvement. 3 things: working out, gratitude journaling, and meditating, grounded myself and prepare myself for the next stages of life. And to have even another example is a bald eagle. They can live either 30 to 60 years. That's a pretty big gap. That is 30 years determining this variable. And you think, okay, why is that? And how can we relate this to men? It is because an eagle at 30 starts to lose its feathers. They start to weaken. They start to soften, frail. Its beak becomes soft, and it's no longer as fast and as honed as it used to be. And it can continue to live that life and slowly die out by its weakness. Or it can refine itself in solitude by climbing up to a mountain, staying on a nest, a tree, and individually pick each single feather out so it can grow back stronger. And it will grab a rock or a hard tree and physically break its own nose, its own beak, so it can come back stronger. And then it can have the ability to live 30 more years. You look at individuals, they've worked their whole life. They're in this slave race. They finally retire. And within a few weeks, they die. Because what other purpose did they have? So if you want to say, Maxwell, all right, this is great. How do I find my purpose? I kind of just told you. Is you have to kill your old self. I was on the verge of ending it all when I found my reason to live. And it morphed and it changed and it goes on. That is purpose. That is the life of a purposeful man. And I'm thankful I didn't end it. But I metaphorically killed my old self so I could change and continue to live for longer. So look at yourself right now, that you're disappointed, that you're sad, there's no reason to your living. Is you gotta pack your bags and move. Maybe even physically, but go out into the woods and camp for a day or two. I didn't have that possibility, so the next best option is I closed my room off. I turned the lights off and I stared at the wall and asked myself some questions. Like, what would I do if I had no money? What would I spend the rest of my life doing? What gift could I give to improve other people's life? How could I be happy? What is the one thing I want to love to do? Because purpose, by its definition, is your biggest obsession. And you can't have too many of those. You can't be obsessed all over, because that's a lesser man that cannot focus on one thing. So I said to myself, I want to become a version of myself that I'm happy of. So I engulfed on the journey of self-improvement, and I don't think I will ever have it dissolved. Maybe down the line years when I see myself as a proper individual, willingness to have kids and make them good ones. But it started off physical fitness, YouTube entrepreneurship, and I still hold on to those. Other topics come in mind, like, all right, I want to learn how to get girls. That's the grander purpose, helping me peel back of becoming the superior version of myself. But I record this video today for another reason, not just to help you find out that, oh yeah, I feel like shit because I have no purpose. But it's when you live day to day. There's more of a zest and zeal in your life when you can look, oh yeah, it's Monday. Ooh, I have workouts this week. Oh, I can get this done. In a month from now, my progress will progressively overload and I'll have all this. I can work out because now I have a grand reason, not just to get fit, but oh, I need to make this weight. I need to lift this weight. Oh, I can wake up and record my YouTube videos. I can do this. See the attitude change compared to just, oh, I'll wake up. No, I got something at 10 p.m. or 10 a.m. I gotta eat. You're just poking at life. When you have a reason to run this race of life, and understanding it is a race, because people fucking win, and there's losers in this life. You gotta decide what you wanna be. So are you gonna poke at life? Or are you gonna fucking penetrate it? And that draws into the fear, because comfort is the killer of man. And decadency creeps in and destroys us as a person and as a society. So becoming a purposeful man is understanding the comfort of fear, because it's easy to just lay in bed and rot away. Unless you really have the awakening, getting out of Plato's tunnel and understanding the reality of life, you might just say that it's not bad just consuming. So you need a awakening. Maybe it can be this video, maybe it can be all the bullshit feeds up into your life and you have a fuck that moment at FTM and you realize, you snap, you break down and you say to yourself, damn, I need to change. That's when you'll start living life with a little bit more purpose. And that guy just absolutely destroyed my lighting. So I'm gonna keep this a little shorter. It's just to summarize, to always continue moving and having a greater reason to live. To always understand that fear is going to be there, but only by conquering it slowly and appropriately can you improve. And to always pursue life, a reason. So go find it. I tell you now to go turn this shit off, stop fucking consuming, get some stuff done, and find the reason to live. For there is higher and there is lower. You can choose what type of man you want to be. Like and subscribe, comment down below, and I'll see you on the next video.